Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Alex Wimberly. I am a leader of the Corrymeela community. And on behalf of Stephen Ford, the Dean of Belfast, and our other partners, welcome. Welcome to this service for the Day of Reflection. Using the biblical practice of lament, this service offers us a space to reflect on the conflict in and about Northern Ireland, as well as the future we can create together. In this hour, we will acknowledge our deep hurt and pain, reflect on what we might have done or might still do to prevent violence, and commit ourselves to a future where such suffering and loss does not happen. This is a service for everyone, because violence has affected all of us. This has become an annual ritual for many of us, a way of marking our own journey toward greater peace. But for those who are taking part for the first time, we want to give you a sense of what to expect. Along with a Christian liturgy that gives voice to pain and doubt and hope, there are significant moments of silence, most notably at the top of the hour, as the sun reaches its highest point in the year. Silence can be uncomfortable, yet it is important for us to acknowledge that often there are no words to express our emotions. We invite you to take care of yourself, to take advantage of the support that is on offer, and to allow yourself to be held with others as we acknowledge in the presence of God that things are not yet as they should be. In faith, we can risk acknowledging our pain and our longing in the hope that God's call for truth, mercy, justice, and peace will be heard clearly, more clearly within us. This service will also feature music, notably the organ piece made possible by the Commission for Victims and Survivors, and we are grateful to Stephen Hamill for his playing. The silence at noon will be introduced with Ullen Pipes, played by Chris McMullen, and we are to come out of the silence with the sound of cello, played by Paul Lee. We are grateful to these musicians and to Celtic Psalms, who have already provided music in our time of gathering and who will provide music at the close of the service for those who wish to remain seated. Two other aspects of this service to make you aware of. There will be a dramatized reflection on Psalm 85, verse 10. We are grateful to Monica McWilliams for introducing that piece written by John Paul Lederach, and to our friends from Lagan College for staging this imagined conversation between truth, mercy, justice, and peace. In the second half of the service, Shona Bell will be introducing an act of hope, the offering of patches, to which we will all be invited to take part. And then we will stand together to commit ourselves to a new way of being. Throughout the service, we will be led by 4 liturgists, and we are so grateful to Terry Duffy and Natasha Butler from the Victims and Survivors Forum, and to the Reverend Tracy McRoberts and Bishop Alan McGuckian for their leadership. A major point of this service is to remind the churches that our place as the followers of Christ is not to be on one side of a conflict or another, but alongside all those who have suffered and remain vulnerable. Regardless of our backgrounds, we are here together. We need not grieve separately. We have the freedom to heal as one people. I invite you to take a moment for yourself, to prepare for this hour, and to know that you are welcome in this space.
Healing requires courage. Courage to look at what is broken.
God, who promises to be with us in our brokenness, give us courage. Give us courage.
Hear us, O God, for we do not want to face these painful memories. Hear us, O God, for you promised to be with those we loved and lost. Hear us, O God, for you promise to be with us.
Hear us as we bring to you our pain and our brokenness. Hear us, O God.
God, who is our rock, steady us. God, who enfolds us within your wings, shelter us. God, who shepherds us through the valley, comfort us. God, who cried out from the cross, hear us.
Hear us as we cry to you. Hear us, O God.
I'm going down memory lane today. I'm thinking about 50 years ago when I first went to Corrymeela. I was the bus driver for Gingerbread. It got its name to ginger the government up for more bread. It was a group of prisoners' wives, women and survivors from domestic violence, women separated and displaced from the Troubles. And as I drove up those little back roads to Corrymeela, trying to keep the bus on the right side of the road, I knew that those days of reflection were going to be so important. There were women there from all sides who had never spoke about the scalded memories and what they were going through. And that was 50 years ago. And we're still dealing, as you hear today, how to deal with those scalded memories. I've been back many times, and I was very glad of the opportunity that Corrymeela offered for exchanges with people who no one else would talk to. It was those quiet places below the radar that I learned so much and stood me in so much good stead when I entered the peace talks. I knew John Paul Lederach at that time, and he did talk about truth and mercy and peace and justice. But I'm not sure, as we sat down at the table, that we understood those concepts. There was a lot of blaming and a lot of shaming. So I was glad of places like Corrymeela, where we could talk to people that no one else would talk to. The other learning was at WAVE, which name, the acronym, Widows Against Violence Empowered. The word empower was so strong inside those doors of Wave, where I also went over 30 years ago. It was about empowering and not overpowering. And again, I learned so much. And if I had a lament, my reflection would be that when I sat at that table in 1998, that I did not put more into that peace agreement about what we're hearing today, how to do justice, how to see what mercy really looks like, how to deal with truth, and would that really create a sustainable peace? All these years later, we're still trying to find out. But I'm also grateful to Wave for the victims and survivors who sacrificed the most and probably got the least, and to many others across the country who are still looking for mercy and justice and peace and the truth. And I'm now working on the issue of transition, on group transition, and particularly last week in Corrymeela you had a group from Colombia who talk about the responsible ones from the highest levels of authority to the groups that I'm working with, which is the paramilitaries on the ground. And what does transition look like? What does going over look like? What does mercy and truth and peace and justice look like in terms of our transition for the responsible ones? So I'll finish by saying that it's good that we're beginning to break the silence. And next week, both globally and locally, I think it's really important that we take from what we're learning here today to what's happening elsewhere in the world. I'll be sitting down in another quiet place somewhere in Italy, like Corrymeela, with women again from Gaza and from Israel, from Afghanistan and Yemen, from Sudan and the Ukraine, to talk exactly about these concepts. So to John Paul Ledrick and to the students from Lagan College, we will now hear about what truth and mercy and peace and justice would really look like. Thank you for asking me to speak today.
We have all experienced conflict, and the ways that people in conflict often appeal to truth, mercy, justice, and peace. Psalm 85, verse 10 tells us, "Mercy and truth have met each other, justice and peace have kissed." So I've done some thinking, and I wondered this. What if we invited our four friends, truth, mercy, justice, and peace, to join us? What if we asked them to openly discuss their views about conflict? I have seen them come and go in other fights, so I have invited them to come and clear up a few things. So welcome to you all. We want to know what concerns you each have in the midst of conflict. May we hear your views. Truth, how about you first?
I am truth. I am like light that is cast, so all may see. In times of conflict, I want to bring forward what really happened, putting it out in the open. I am set apart from my three colleagues here because they need me first and foremost. Without me, they cannot go forward. When I am found, I set people free.
Sister Truth, you know I have been around a lot of conflict. There's one thing I'm always curious about. When I talk to one side, like these people over here, they say that you're with them. When I talk to others, like our friends over there, they claim you're on their side. Is there only one truth
There is only one truth, but it can be experienced in many different ways. I reside within each person, yet nobody owns me.
If discovering you is so crucial, why are you so hard to find?
I can only appear when the search is genuine and authentic. I come forward when each person shares with others what they know of me, and when each one respects the other's voices.
Of these 3 friends, whom do you fear the most?
I fear Mercy. In his haste to heal, he covers my light and clouds my clarity. He forgets that forgiveness is our child, not his alone.
Mercy, I'm sure you have things to say. What concerns you?
I am Mercy. I am the new beginning. I am concerned with people and their relationships. Acceptance, compassion, and support stand with me. I know the frailty of the human condition. Who among them is perfect? Truth knows that her light can bring clarity, but too often does it blind and burn. What freedom is there without life and relationships? Forgiveness is indeed our child, but not when people are arrogantly clubbed into humiliation and agony with their imperfections and weaknesses. Our child's forgiveness was birthed to provide healing.
But Brother Mercy, in your rush to accept and support and move ahead, do you not lose the child forgiveness?
I do not cover truth's light. You must understand. I am Mercy. I am built of steadfast love that supports life itself.
And whom do you fear the most?
My brother Justice, in his haste to change and make things right, forgets that his roots lie in real people and relationships.
So, Brother Justice, what do you have to say?
I am Justice. Mercy is correct. I am concerned about making things right. I look beneath the surface and behind the issues about which people seem to fight. The roots of most conflicts are tangled in greed, inequality, and wrongdoing. I stand with Truth, who sheds her light to expose the paths of wrongdoing. My task is to make sure that something is done to repair the damage wreaked, especially on victims and the downtrodden.
But, Brother Justice, everybody in this room feels they have been wronged. Most are willing to justify their actions, even violent deeds, as doing your bidding. Is this not true?
It is indeed. Most do not understand. You see, I am most concerned about accountability. Often we think that anything and everything is acceptable. True and committed relationships have honest accounting and steadfast love. Love without accountability is nothing but words. Love with accountability is changed behaviour and actions. My purpose is to bring action and accountability to the words.
Then whom do you fear?
My children. I fear that my children, Mercy and Peace, see themselves as parents, yet they are actually the fruit of my labour.
I am Peace, and I agree with all 3. I am the child to whom they give birth, the mother who labours to give them life, and the spouse who accompanies them on the way. I hold the community together with the encouragement of security, respect, and well-being.
That is precisely the problem. You see yourself as greater and bigger than the rest of us.
Arrogance. You do not place yourself where you belong. You follow us, you do not precede us.
That is true, Brother Justice and Sister Truth. I am more fully expressed through and after you both. But it is also true that without me, there is no space cleared for truth to be heard. And without me, there is no way to break out of the vicious cycle of accusation, bitterness, and bloodshed. You yourself, Justice, cannot be fully embodied without my presence. I am before and after. There is no other way to reach me. I myself am the way.
And whom then do you fear?
Not whom, but what and when. I fear manipulation. I fear the manipulation of people using Sister Truth for their own purposes. Some ignore her. Some use her as a whip. Some claim to own her. I fear times when Brother Justice is sacrificed for the sake of Brother Mercy. I fear the blind manipulation when some will sacrifice life itself in trying to reach the ideal of Brother Justice. When such trickery takes place, I am violated and left as an empty shell.
Question then to all four of you. How would it be possible for you four to meet? What would you need from each other?
You must slow down, Brother Mercy. Give me chance to emerge. Our child cannot be born without the slow development in the womb of the mother.
Shine bright, dear Sister Truth, but please take care not to blind or burn. Remember that each person is a child of God. Each is weak and needs support to grow.
I have been partly reassured by the words of Sister Peace. I need a clear statement that she gives place for accountability and action. Remember when Micah spoke of us. Love, mercy, and do justice. You, Sister Peace, must allow room for me to come forward.
Brother Justice, we need one another. Don't fall into bitterness that rages without purpose. I will provide the soil for you to work and bear fruit.
And what then is this place called where you stand together?
This place is called Reconciliation.
As we approach noon on this longest day of the year, the sun seems to stop in the sky. The shadows around us diminish, but will return. We stop to acknowledge that life is not as it should be.
We come before you, God, to lament the truth of our brokenness and the extent of our hurt. Be with us, God.
Some of us have lost loved ones because of our sectarian conflict. Many we know have been traumatized by violence or its threat. No one in our society has been untouched by our harmful divisions.
Hear our cry, O God.
Each day is a day containing sorrow for a family you love. Every street we pass through holds of someone a story of violence, of death, of fear. No place on this land is untouched by the history of our violence.
When will peace come?
Where were you when this hatred started? Where were you when neighbor turned against neighbor? Where were you when they died? Where were you when we lost our trust in one another? Where were you when our present became defined by our past? Where were you when the future we would want our children to enjoy was robbed from them and from us?
Where were you? Why did many Christian voices condone what was done in your name? Why was there silence even from churches when the message you told us to proclaim was of peace? Why, O God, why?
Hear us, O God, as we cry out to you. Take our brokenness and heal it. Free us, O God, from our mistrust. Save us, O God, with your undying love. Answer us, O God, in our lament.
Answer us, O God, in our lament.
For you are the God who pulled the abandoned up from the pit. You are the God who welcomed a criminal into paradise. You are the God who broke bread with sinners. You are the God who will wipe the tears from our eyes.
You are our God. Hear us as we cry to you. You are our God.
Thank you for taking time for that silence, a silence that has deep significance for all who gather here, a silence which provides space for reflection for those who loved and lost, for those who were injured or missed out on something in their lives, for those who bear the hurt deep in their hearts, for those who cared, for those who ministered, for those who accompanied, for those who watched and waited, and for those who paid the price of pain. We gather here alongside one another, and we acknowledge that hurt, and we look forward in hope. There are little pieces of cloth on the white table here in the center of the church. Everyone is welcome and invited to come forward and to take a patch in a moment. Those in need of personal healing, you are welcome. Those employed in the work of peace and reconciliation, you are welcome. Those who desire to support the work of healing, you are welcome. Those who wish to be part of the healing, you are welcome. And those who feel they need to lay their burden down, you are welcome. We are all welcome at this table. I'm going to invite Canon Tracy, Bishop Alan, Terry and Natasha to come forward to say a few words about who or what they will be remembering with their patch today. As the rest of us come forward, we'll do so silently. And as we take our patches, we'll be accompanied by a piece of music by Grace Evangeline Mason, which was commissioned by the Victims and Survivors Commission.
As I will step down and take up a patch, I will remember all the victims and survivors of the conflict. I will remember especially those known to me personally. But in particular, I will also be looking forward, and I will be hoping that our young people of today will be able to be freed from the legacy of conflict and from the pains of the past.
As I pick up my patch, I will specifically be remembering two priests of my diocese, Father Hugh Mullen and Father Noel Fitzpatrick, who were killed by the army in Ballymurphy. An old schoolmate, Michael Mallon, who was killed and picked up during the Ulster Workers' strike. And a neighbour, Sammy McCain, a police reservist, who was killed by the IRA.
As I pick up a patch, I'll be remembering those who have shared their stories with me over many years. And I'll also be hoping that for the next generation, there is a different story for us to be able to tell.
As I am about to step forward to pick up a patch, I will be remembering my grandfather who was lost in our conflict. I look forward ahead to all future generations. May they heal and gather peace from the wounds of our troubled past.
Please stand.
We stand together, committed to the collective civic courage required to be a people of peace.
We cannot forget the past or pretend that violence does not threaten to return.
We cannot legislate our way out of our troubled story.
We cannot oppose a peace upon others.
But we can find new courage as we stand with one another.
We are people who continue to lament the loss of life.
We are people whose stories have been shaped by violence.
We are people who must learn to trust again and be worthy of that trust.
And we are the people whom God has gathered to bear the hope of Christ.
Together,
we commit to a society of peace and justice, showing the courage to reject violence by standing with and listening to victims and survivors, and by calling the Church again to the power of love, grace and forgiveness, which alone can break our cycle of violence. And now, may the love of God and the grace of God and the community of God be with each one of us, all those we love, and all those we should love, both now and forevermore. Amen.
Shall evermore meet, and justice and peace shall greet with a kiss. From the ground shall spring kindness, goodness will shine from the skies, and God will bring healing, and the people will sing. For love and mercy shall evermore meet, and justice and peace shall greet with a kiss. From the ground shall spring kindness, goodness will shine from the skies, and God will bring healing, and the people will sing, and God will bring healing,